What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Puckin' Around. This is our playoff preview. Thanks for joining us today. With us on today's show, we have Tyson, aka Spittin' Picklets. I don't think we have audio from Tyson quite yet. There we go. I think I hear you now.
Somebody muted themselves.
Oh, there you go. And we've also got two special guests, so please help me in welcoming. First up, Betsy, back again.
You're going to have to start charging your rent the amount of times you come on here, bud.
free of charge, no worries.
And we've also got FN Props Guy making his debut on the show. What is going on, Dan?
Fellas, how's it going?
Good, buddy. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So today we are going to kind of break down the playoffs. If people have any picks they want to share, awesome. But really, we just want to give people kind of a look at what to expect from the playoffs, hopefully. So we'll go matchup by matchup. But before we get to that, any thoughts on the playoffs overall? Anything folks want to talk about before we jump into the matchups?
I'm just excited to watch some playoff hockey. I got a couple upsets locked in, but this is kind of where you see a lot more defense come into play because, all the Columbus and the Anaheim, Arizona, like the good shot on goal and, goals allowed teams are all pretty much out. So now you're going to see a lot more unders.
There you go. Yep. Great take. Betsky, any general thoughts from you?
Yeah, this first round's always my favorite part of the playoffs too, because it's always a bloodbath. There's usually one or two series that just get really ugly in the first round. Then obviously there's so many upsets in NHL playoffs, so it's going to be exciting to see who gets out alive in the first round.
Absolutely. And Dan, anything from you?
Just kind of same. Looking forward to the games getting going. We had the boys state hockey tournament here in Minnesota about a month ago. Last week I was on vacation, drugged my girlfriend down to the bar so that we could watch the NCAA final between Minnesota and Quinnipiac. So I've been seeing a lot of good hockey on the non-NHL front lately, and just looking forward to seeing the best of the best going at it here in the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And so let's get into our first matchup. And if you have any thoughts, feel free to jump in. So we'll start in the East. Boston Bruins taking on the Florida Panthers. The Bruins 65-12-5 was their record. And the Panthers 42-32-8. They just sneak in. I know Dan is making stat cards that you can see. He's tweeted out a bunch of them for matchups. So definitely want to give him a shout out there and check them out if you haven't seen them. So we have the President Trophy Bruins taking on the Florida Panthers. What are we thinking about this one?
President's Trophy. Remember what happened last time when the President's Trophy winner set a record for most points and wins in a season?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily see that happening, but I think this series is going to be a little closer than most people would think, just because they split the season series 2-2. So, okay. And trust me, I was on the Bruins one of those games when they lost in overtime, and I was crushed. Pasternak scored with a second left. Yeah, it was brutal, but I think it's going to be closer. My prediction for this is something before I go on. Every single game went over in the season series this year, over 6.5. So that's something I'm probably going to be looking at. Maybe I know I just went on a spiel about all these unders, but this is the only one. I didn't know we were going to start with this one. But yeah, I would say my prediction is Boston in 6.
Okay. And Betsky, any thoughts?
I have Boston in 6 as well.
Ooh, okay.
I think there's going to be a lot of pushback from Florida, but there's just no way that goaltending is going to get them out of this one alive.
No. Is Bob back, or do we get Lyon?
I don't know. Does it matter?
No, Bob's back, but it's kind of up in the air whether or not they're going to go with Lyon or go with Bob.
Lion's numbers were great.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, he's been really good.
Yeah.
Sub 2 GAA.
Yeah. It was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in a 7-game series, it's just going to be too much for a line. And if they pull him, if it gets out of hand one game and Bob goes in, and now you got the dreaded goalie controversy in the playoffs of who do you start? So
I just kind of, if I was a coach, I'd ride the hot hand. Like whoever won me the last game is in.
Yeah.
Next game.
That's fair. Oh, and I should have stated the odds for this one. Boston -320 to win this series. Florida's +250, and that's not in any specific number of games, in which you can take that too. And there's also series spreads, which I know a lot of people are going to do as well. So lots of ways to bet this.
Yeah, like what about Bruins -1.5? I don't hate that.
Yeah, of note, the Bruins are coming into the playoffs on an 8-game winning streak, 9-1-0 in their last 10.
Man.
Florida 6-3-1 in their last 10.
Jeez.
You gotta kind of respect that Boston went the route of, pedal to the metal. Like, let's just keep it rolling right through to the playoffs when they had nothing. Like, they were not competing for seeding or anything like that, but they were very clear that they just wanted to keep everybody fresh. And I think a lot of teams overthink it and think they have to rest people and so on and so forth before this gets going. But I gotta think it's gotta help Boston here as we get going.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts on this series before we move on?
Shots on goal should be good for it. I'm still going to lead into Florida, especially in the playoffs.
Going off of that, shots on goal. I just wanted to note, like, I know we all know that Florida at home is a gold mine for shots on goal. But I also just want to point out that if you look at their shots allowed, like recently, and obviously take everything in the last 10 games or so with a grain of salt because it's the end of the season, but kind of just looking at trends, Florida since the trade deadline is giving up 25 shots on goal on the road, and they're giving up 33 at home.
Oh, wow.
So, not saying that you should, necessarily just take that as gospel, but, keep an eye as these games get going. If that does play out, that, it might be good to kind of alternate, playing some Boston shooters when they're in Florida, combined with those Florida shooters, as like a little same game parlay. It might actually bear out if the data holds.
For sure.
There you go. And particularly in Florida, you're saying?
Yeah. Specifically when they're in Florida. I don't know, most teams it's the opposite. They give up more on the road because they lose that last switch and they don't get the matchups they want. But for whatever reason, at least since the trade deadline, Florida's been giving up near the top of the league shots on home ice, where they're, kind of locking it down on the road. So.
That's a great nugget. Love it.
Of all the playoff teams, Florida allows the most shots on goal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All the teams, which is yeah.
There you go. And I'm going to sprinkle these in throughout as well. According to Dom at The Athletic, he tweeted out a chart, and I'll retweet it actually, with odds. According to The Athletic again, Boston Bruins leading the charge, 26% chance to win the cup, according to The Athletic. In the other team in this matchup, Florida, 3% chance. So we'll see how accurate this is. But
they don't believe in the President's Trophy curse, I guess. Then, hey?
No, I don't. I don't think, not for Boston at least.
No, I think they're when they did their staff polling, I think they had one staff member at the entire Athletic NHL team that thought Florida had a chance of winning this this matchup. So
there you go. There's a reason it's minus 320 for Boston. So
yeah, crazy.
All right. Next up, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Toronto finished the season last 10, 7-1-2 on a 4-game winning streak. Tampa finished 4-6. A little bit, they stumbled a bit towards the end of the season there. And betting odds, the Leafs are a -155 favorite to win. Tampa's at +135. What are we thinking about Tampa versus Toronto?
This is going to be a good one. I can't wait for this series.
A rematch of last year, right? These guys love playing each other.
I think it's Toronto's year, though.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't.
I would
I
have
think
to. I would have to say so.
I think it's going to go to 7, but like Toronto won the season series. Like you said, Toronto's coming in as the hotter team than Tampa, and like, dude, Tampa just looks tired.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so tired.
Yeah.
Vasi hasn't been as good as Vasi used to be. Hedman had a really down year for his standards. Like unless that top line really carries them, I don't think they have what it takes. Like they lost Ryan McDonough, which is going to be a bigger loss than they think come playoff time. Like that guy blocked everything in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the depth. Toronto added so many pieces. I just think it's their year.
All right.
Well,
Yeah,
to get out of the first
100%.
round, I should say.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Athletic has them at 10% chance to win the Stanley Cup. That's the Leafs. And they have Tampa at 2% chance. So the Leafs are their fourth favorite to get the cup.
Wait, they have Tampa at 2%?
Yeah.
And Florida at 3%?
Correct.
To win the cup. Yeah. To win it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising. All right.
Florida just slightly ahead.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, what are your guys' thoughts?
I think Toronto is going to get out of this one in 6.
Ooh.
I think they're going to kind of get out of it in a little bit of style. I have a feeling that there may be some kind of heartbreaking losses, but I think they're going to really find their ground by the end of this series. I loved what they did in the trade deadline.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a head scratcher at first, but seeing the way they kind of rebuilt that depth they have, it was really impressive. I mean, Ryan O'Reilly's back. Yep.
Sam Lafferty, who's like not a household name, but like he's a good role player.
No. Yeah, he was being wasted in Chicago, so that was a good addition.
Good move for sure. They got my boy Luke Shen. That guy's an animal.
Yep.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Mm-hmm. Something that I wanted to point out, and I should have pointed out last series. So every home team's won the season series in this matchup, as well as Boston, Florida.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Just something I saw and wanted to point out. But yeah,
nice.
Shots, what are your thoughts? You're a Toronto native-ish.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, when you're thinking of pieces you want to add, I can't think of much better piece to add than a Ryan O'Reilly type for your playoff push. I think player like him complements the roster. They have a ton of depth, especially at defense. Like they're loaded. They got a lot. If they, injuries are going to happen in the playoffs, I think they're going to be able to withstand that. And yeah, I think there's only so many times you can lose to Tampa in the first round, right? So this is like you said. Yeah. This and Tampa's played so much hockey, like you alluded to, right? It adds up. So yeah, I think the Leafs are taking this one for sure.
And like for Toronto, their kryptonite lately has been the Lightning. And if they win, then they deal with their other kryptonite in Boston. So doesn't look great for them long term. But
I was gonna say, I think we're all feeling confident they might win in the first round and then get destroyed in the second round.
But hey, that's a dub for them. How long has it been since 2003, 2004?
Yeah, it's been a while, and it's a tough road in the East. So
it is right now.
Also, some fun props on DraftKings. You can pick who's going to score the most goals in a series, most points. No surprise, Austin leading the way, plus 380 to lead the series in goals. To lead the series in points, Cooch and Marner each at plus 330. I think that's a fair bet.
Yeah.
You
kind of have to pick someone that you think like the team that's going to win, right? Like, so you'd go Marner there
for points.
Yeah, you could do that. I want to see Willie have a big playoff series. They're going to need him.
Yeah.
And he had a great
he's had a good season against Tampa when they've spaced off this year. He's had at least, like shots are not indicative of points, but he's had at least 5 shots on goal in all 3 games. He's been kind of the guy when they've played the Lightning this season.
There you go. Okay. So there's some fun stuff on that series. Let's keep it moving. Next up, we have Spittin's favorite, the Carolina Hurricanes,
Oh, brother.
taking on the New York Islanders. So the Hurricanes, without Svechnikov, no Pacioretty, dealing with some injuries. There you go. Got the jersey in the background. So what do we think about this one? And I'll pull up the odds as we start.
So I love the Hurricanes. Big fan. Love what they do. Got their jersey on the wall, but you know what other jersey I have?
Maddie.
Oh.
And one guy's coming back, the other guy isn't.
Yep.
I'm taking the Islanders to win this series in 6.
I like it.
I think they got the better goaltending. Freddie Anderson is not what he used to be at all. They don't allow a lot of shots, but I find he'll let some questionable goals in.
Sure.
And something I saw with the Islanders, I know the Hurricanes have the best penalty kill going back 5 years or something, ever since Rod the Bod got in town. But the Islanders' power play percentage without Bo Horvat was 13, and then without Barzal with Horvat was 13, and then when they were together it was 35%.
Wow.
So I think that they'll be able to capitalize, and I think every game is going to go under in this series. They're both two defensive teams, but I think you get a 1-0 lead for the Islanders, they'll just sit on it the whole game.
Yep.
So I just think it's going to be a boring series that I'm going to have no fun watching, but that's why I think the Islanders are going to win. And the Canes just don't have any scoring power anymore.
They don't look right.
No, they don't.
That top 6, top 9 went from looking like one of the best in the league, and then you took Chev out, and it looks totally different. The makeup is just so different.
Ever since they didn't add anything in the deadline, I thought different of them. I'm like, did they not believe? You got a good acquisition in Pacioretty. You got him for free, but now you have nothing.
That's tough. And the Islanders coming in at plus 165. So that's definitely one of your underdogs there.
Yep.
Carolina minus 200. What else do we think on this one? I think you hit the nail on the head. Sorokin can carry this team. He has the ability to do it, even against Carolina.
We saw Shesterkin do it last year with the Rangers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
does anyone here believe Carolina can get out of this? Or not believe, but is anybody on that side? Or is everybody here going for the dog?
Yeah. I think in my bracket I did the Islanders, so
I did too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's
no
New York.
way.
now I didn't bet it, so that's a little bit different.
No. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina takes this. I mean, they're still a great team. I mean,
for sure.
They stack up, I would say, maybe slightly better in every position besides goaltending, even with Shevnikov out.
Mm-hmm.
But Islanders are just this is just such a bad matchup for them.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina versus Florida would have been really interesting, especially with the way that game went the other night, where it was a super run and gun, and Carolina was actually able to keep up. I think they could get really frustrated here.
I said this on a show leading up last week or something. If I was any team in the East, I think I would want to play Carolina. Just I don't believe in them right now.
I know,
which is so weird to say. They won the division, but I just can't believe in them.
No, it is what it is.
Yep.
All righty. So we can move on to our next. Oh,
so wait, we all got to give our series prediction. So I said Isles in 6.
I'm going to take Isles in 7. I think it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to steamroll them, but I definitely, I like the Islanders. I'll take them in 7.
I think I did Islanders in 6.
Islanders in 6. Dan,
my bracket just refreshed, so I need to remake it.
I think I'd go 6. This is one of those things where I feel like the longer the series drags out, the better chance Carolina has to find a way. But I don't think they're going to get it done in 4 or 5. So 6 feels right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
There we go. Everybody on the Isles. Perfect. And our last Eastern matchup, we have the New Jersey Devils taking on the New York Rangers. The Rangers finished 5-2-3 in their last 10. has finished the season with 107 points. The Devils finished with 112 points, 5 more wins than the Rangers, and they've finished the season 7-3-0. And betting wise, I can't find them. The betting wise, the Devils are minus 120 to take the series, and the Rangers plus 100. This is our closest odds matchup that we've got. So what are we thinking? We getting playoff Igor back?
I don't want to start this time. Let's have someone else start.
I'll go. I'm on Rangers.
Okay.
This is a tricky one, though. This is a really hard one, but I think those vets are just going to come through for the Rangers. I mean, they are loaded right now.
The top 6 is insane.
Yep. Top 9, kind of. I mean, that
sure. Yeah, the kid line.
Kid line. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yep. Jersey definitely has a shot here, but I think in the 7-game series, it's got to be Rangers. I do think goaltending is going to be a huge factor in this.
Yeah, and they, New Jersey just gives up some weak goals sometimes.
Yeah, and
I'm
it's going to be
also on the
interesting to
Rangers.
see how all the kids on Jersey perform. This is their first time and the offs, so.
So
There you go.
I didn't want to go first because I put this out on my Twitter and I don't know who saw it or remembers, but I think right before they made the Patrick Kane trade, I put a future on them to win the cup at plus 1,400.
Wow.
So I'm
Ooh.
obviously a little biased, but when it comes to like the playoffs, you need the experience. And who on New Jersey's made the playoffs? Like Dougie Hamilton, and then some depth guys probably, like none of their stars. Yeah, but he hasn't been anything special this year. But
No.
like he sure probably made it when they went in 2019 with Taylor Hall, but they get swept or gentleman's sweep or whatever. But Rangers went last year. They got the edge in goal. Like they got the playoff experience. I just have to go with the Rangers. And I think that's going to go the distance because New Jersey's no joke. But
yeah,
I think, when it comes to game 7, they're they're not going to know what to do. And, more than half the team has been there. So give me the Rangers.
I think the first 2 or 3 games, like this is not, surprising, but the first 2 or 3 games are going to decide it. Like if New Jersey can play New Jersey Devil hockey, then I think they can win it. But if they find themselves after the first game or two, giving in to New York's pace, New York's, way of doing things, then I think they'll lose. Like I think, Betsky, Spittin, I think everything you're saying is correct. It's I would tend to agree that New York's probably going to pull this off. But if the Devils can keep their pace going, I know they were talking about this in one of the Athletic articles I had seen, but if you look at analytics for pace of play and transition scoring, New Jersey is near the top of the league in transition scoring, and the Rangers are middle of the pack in stopping transition scoring. So if New Jersey can kind of keep that pace up and keep it going, I think they could find a way to win the series. But I think it's hard to really know how you're going to react until you get punched in the mouth. So we kind of just have to see how they take it once the series gets going.
Well, I would like to do this. Okay. So who has a better goaltending?
Rangers.
Who's
Not
better?
close.
Who's got the D-core?
I would say Rangers.
Yeah.
Rangers.
Who's got
Rangers,
the forward?
yeah.
It's close, but slight edge to Rangers.
Yeah.
I agree. I that's why I lean so heavily in the Rangers.
Yeah.
They have all the categories covered, I think.
Yep, and the playoff experience. I think they're also tougher. More
Truba is going to be a menace.
Keandre Miller is going to be laying out some hits. They're going to, like Dan alluded to, that New Jersey's a fast team. And they're going to want to play that way, and the Rangers are going to want to slow them down. So it's really who can impose their will. And I think the Rangers can do it. So I'm taking Rangers in 6 for me.
I'm going to go Rangers in 7.
I have Rangers in 6.
Yeah, I'd go Rangers in 7.
Very nice.
Ooh.
Any other final thoughts on that one, or do we want to move on to our next series?
So are we all on the same team, at least in the East? For
So
each
far.
match?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say it sounds like we all are. Yeah.
Including 2 underdogs, which is nice. Okay. Our
This
next
is going to be
matchup.
either the greatest show ever or the worst show ever.
And end our careers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the West, which I would we agree, is the East seem harder this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. But
Yeah.
it seems harder to get out of, but I found it easier to pick who I wanted to win.
Yeah.
Got
Yes.
it. Yep.
100%.
Mhm.
All right. First up in the West, we have the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Winnipeg Wets. That's what we called them on this show because they always let us down. They are the
Gator
Jets.
came
I'll
on
say
and
it.
Gator was talking about the Jets, and I guess he just said he wanted to incorporate the Winnipeg and the Jets, and just ended up saying Wets. So.
And we loved it. We loved it.
Yeah.
So, betting wise, Vegas is a minus 170 favorite. The Wets are plus 140. I'm definitely going Vegas because I cannot. Spittin' and I made a pact. We will not be betting on the Jets this year.
Ain't happening.
So I'm taking Vegas. Let's say, let's go. Let's start with Dan on this one. I don't think Dan has had a chance to start.
So any chance that Winnipeg has in this series begins and ends with Connor Hellebuck.
Mhm.
And I just don't know that is a spot that's worth investing any hope in hanging, your playoff hopes on. Like, he's great. And if he shows up, they can make it a series, but you need something else. You need like great goaltending and X, Y, or Z. And they don't really have X, Y, or Z. Like, maybe Ehlers shows up, maybe Dubois shows up before he gets traded to Montreal. Like, maybe, whoever, has a good series, but I just don't see a world where they make it through just relying on phenomenal goaltending. So I have to think it's going to be Vegas in this one.
Okay. Betsky, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. This almost feels like the same match as Islanders and Carolina, but in Vegas's case, they have their Shevnikov still with Stone coming back.
Yeah.
So I think up and down that roster is just a little bit stronger. The depth's good. They're kind of a made for playoff type team. The goaltending's been up and down for them kind of all season. So that could be one area that we'll have to see how it turns out for them. But yeah, I think Vegas is ready to rock and roll.
That's what I was going to ask. Who's starting in next? I don't think Logan Thompson's going to be back in time. So is it going to be?
I don't know.
No, Thompson's still up in the air.
Yeah. So they're
rolling
like
probably.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Quick will get a game or two.
Hopefully.
Oh man,
it depends.
Yeah,
you got to ride the hot hand too, right?
Yeah.
He's got to gear up for his rematch with LA in the second round. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I am also going to go with Vegas just because, like Jordan said, we hate the Wets. We're not betting on them. Whenever we do, they always come up short for us. So I am going to go with Vegas. Also, they swept the season series 3-0 against the Jets. And since I don't know, there's something weird going on with the Jets, dude. Like ever since Bonus came in, they play like the Dallas Stars of last year, where they're just like an under team almost every night. And it's just so weird to me, like the whole Wheeler thing, how he used to be the captain. Now he doesn't even wear a letter. What's going on? He's calling out like leadership and stuff. So there's just, I don't think it's a team there. I feel like the room's lost, and I can't wait to not watch them anymore. and I don't even like Vegas, really. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Mark Stone makes them a completely different team, like way better.
He does.
But I just leading up to it, I didn't like them.
That's fair.
They pretty much been in the head of the division all year, though. They're still really underrated. I think it just feels like they're not very exciting because they don't have. I don't think they have anybody that was in the top 30 for like forwards for scoring. Did they?
I
Because
don't know.
Eichel and Stone
Probably
both
not.
missed. They probably would have.
No,
but
they were having underproductive seasons. Yeah.
yeah, in injuries. And all their main guys are just kind of older outside of, I mean, Eichel's still fairly young, but they're not like the fun guys to root for. Like Pietrangelo, it's not the same
He
as
already won.
yeah, it's not the same as like getting those eye popping moments like
Mhm.
Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got
there's no
Cheeseburger Kessel on that
Yeah,
team too.
yeah.
So that guy's been there.
Yeah, he's won some cups.
I think they could go far. I mean, I think they could really. I don't particularly. I'm not going to bet on them making it out of the second round, but I would not be surprised if they're in the conference finals.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's fair.
Agreed. So I'm gonna go VGK gentleman sweep in 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say the
I
same
would
thing,
agree.
so
Yeah.
I'll go over exactly with you.
Thank you.
I hope it's in 4, but I'll
Yeah.
go 5.
Brossois used to play for the Jets too last year, so maybe a
Ooh,
little redemption for him.
interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, moving on to a team with some higher powered offense. The Edmonton Oilers are taking on the Los Angeles Kings. The Oilers are minus 250 favorites, and the Kings plus 200. Let's start with spitting on this one. And as you're getting ready, I will say the Athletic has Edmonton third highest percentage chance to win the cup at 11%.
Dang. That's my pick, Edmonton. I just think what Connor McDavid is doing right now, 150 points, hasn't been done in I don't even remember how long.
94, I think.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Just a rematch of last year, which when it went to 7, and now I think where LA did get a little bit better getting Fiala, and I just think that McDavid's just stepped up way too much to lose this first round. I don't know. And I don't like Korpisalo or Copley or whoever they're going to go with.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I like an Edmonton goalie better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner, Jack Campbell, he wasn't great, but he was starting to pick it up towards the end of the year. So I know he's not starting, but if they have to go to him, it might not be a bad shout. And at that Ekholm acquisition, like he's playing like Roman Yossi did in Nashville. Like he's just phenomenal. So I just think I would say like every position group, I would guess I would go Edmonton. So that's kind of why I'm going with them.
All right, that's fair. Edmonton
Yeah, for
9-0-1 in their last 10.
Yeah.
Coming in
And
red
two of those games were against LA.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they were able to beat them. They only LA scored 1 goal in those 2 games.
Wow.
Mhm.
And you have to think what Edmonton's going to put up at least 3 a game. So
Hopefully, yeah.
You'd have to think, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, LA's scoring is definitely going to be the challenge here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm taking Edmonton in 5 for this one.
Edmonton in 5?
Yeah.
I got Edmonton in 6. We haven't heard from the other 2 though. What do they think?
I'm definitely on Edmonton here. It's pretty hard not to. I mean,
Mhm.
McDavid had one of the best seasons we've seen in a very long time. The blue line's much better. The goal attending's much better.
Mhm.
I think Kings could kind of beat them down a little bit though. So I'm on the Edmonton and 6. I mean, these teams they don't exactly like each other. They've saw each other last year. I think LA surprised everybody with how well they played against them. They stack up. LA seemingly can stack up against them pretty well, but I just don't think it's good enough. Is Fiala even healthy?
I don't know.
No, he's hurt, and when they were asked if he was even going to travel to Edmonton for the first 2 games, the head coach was cagey about it. So
Okay.
my guess is if we see him in this series, it's going to be later. So
Yeah. And that obviously is a big blow for that top 6, top 9 for LA because they kind of win by having 3 good lines, and now you're really kind of looking at 2.
Yeah,
And
they really
Velarde's
started out
hurt.
well.
And
Velarde's hurt, too,
Velarde's
I
hurt
think.
again. Yeah.
He's an excellent
Yeah.
defensive forward. Like
Yeah.
I know they have Deneau, one of the best, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
every piece helps in this matchup. And I know we talked about Los Angeles adding Fiala. Edmonton didn't add this player, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has really stepped it up this year.
I was going to
He's
say,
playing so well.
Yeah, yes.
that's crazy. And like, even we got to go to their power play too. Best in the league, or best of all time, right? 32.8%, I think it was.
Wow.
Which is just insane. So they got to have that edge there too.
There you go. Okay. Was that an Edmonton sweep? Is everybody on Edmonton?
I don't know. I feel Dan said earlier when we were talking about Vegas, he's like, yeah, they got to go through to play the Kings. So I think he might be on the Kings.
No, that was just the narrative side of me would really love to see Jonathan Quick taking on his own old team, but no, Edmonton's gonna win this.
Okay, there we go. Everybody's on Edmonton. Next up, we have the Colorado Avalanche taking on Ray's Seattle Kraken. Shout out to Ray, Firefighter Bets, couldn't join us today, but this is his backup team, the Seattle Kraken. What are we thinking here? Let's start with Betsky. Colorado versus Seattle.
It's got to be Colorado. I can't take Seattle here, but I think Seattle won 2 of the 3 games they played each other this year.
Yep,
they did. Yep,
3-2, and both games are 3-2.
They potentially could give Colorado a little bit of trouble, but in 7-game series, I just don't see any way they can get through Colorado.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Colorado minus 260 favorite in this series.
Yeah, I remember like at the start of the year, not at the start of the year, around the trade deadline, I'm like, I can't wait to hammer whoever this Kraken are playing. Yeah. Like, it's kind of like another New Jersey team to me. Like, they haven't been there yet. They don't have like really a lot of experience. I don't think Burakovsky will be back. Is he out for the year? Like,
Yeah, he's gone.
I don't even remember when he played last. Been so long. Like,
mm-hmm.
And Grubauer, like, he kind of stepped it up towards the end of the year, but that would be the only other guy that would have any sort of experience, right? So, I just think even without Gabriel Landeskog, they didn't even have Gabriel Landeskog the whole season. So, like, you can't even take that into consideration. So, the big question is Makar, but I think he'll be back.
They said today, Bednar said today that Makar should be back for the first game.
Okay.
But Byram stepped up too.
I know.
He's not on Makar's level, but this is why you have great depth for these instances.
Devontae is really good too. He's no Makar,
I was gonna say,
still great.
You look at who they have. Like, if you don't have Makar, you have Byram. If you don't have Taves, you have Gerard. Like, they've got great defensemen, like up and down the line. So.
It's kind of their depth scoring that's going to screw them.
Yeah, the bottom 6 is not elite.
Because last year they had Kadri as a good second line center, and Landeskog, and now neither of them are theirs. But I still think they have what it takes to beat Seattle.
They did get series clinching Lakeinen back, so maybe he pulls off the magic again this season and goes 3 years in a row where he ends a series with his goal. But
so how many games do we think this is going?
6.
I'm on 5.
Yeah.
I think I'd go 6 or 7. I think Seattle will grind it out, but I think Colorado will win.
Okay. I will go 6.
So we are the same on every single one so far. Okay.
I have a feeling this one may have some splits.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. This was the toughest one for me to decide.
Okay. So the matchup we are alluding to, Dallas Stars are taking on the Minnesota Wild. I think it's only fair that we start with Dan. The home state team is in this one. What are you thinking?
Well, 30 years ago, Norm Green moved the Minnesota North Stars to Dallas, and ever since then, we've had an axe to grind with them. But that being said, I would love it if Minnesota had a full roster of competent NHL players to participate in this game. I think this would be a great series in a vacuum. We don't live in a vacuum. Minnesota's missing Eriksson Ek.
That's huge.
Ryan Hartman, yeah, it is gigantic because even with him in, they have crappy center depth up and down the line. Ryan Hartman's not who he's used to be. Marco Rossi didn't develop the way they thought he was going to. I just think objectively, as much as I love the Wild, I think Dallas probably wins this one. I think any world in which Minnesota wins is if they shut it down and grind it out, and it becomes a, you limit Dallas's scoring, and Gustafson has a phenomenal, showing, and Fleury just gives DeBoer the middle finger and does his thing, and they find a way to grind it out, with 2 or 3 goals on either side. But I don't know. This was looking like a really good season for Minnesota, and it kind of all fell apart here in the last 2 weeks or so with the injuries and kind of just the way that they've been playing. So,
all right. Spittin', we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with the Stars. I think you have the big advantage in goal with Audie. Like we saw what he did last playoffs against Calgary, who's a better offensive team than this Minnesota team. I completely forgot that there's no Eriksson Ek. That's insane. Like I don't think because that was their shutdown guy. I don't think they have anyone that's going to be able to stop. Like
Selke, nominee Eriksson Ek not playing is going to be huge. So.
Yeah, it's going to be bad for them. Like they're not going to be able to shut down the Robo line. And like they have crazy depth too. Like adding Domi at the deadline, like
Marchman's back now too.
Yeah, he's going to play on that third line probably. And then Wyatt Johnson, the second line center, stepped it up. Jamie Benn, what has he had? 77 points this year? Like good for him. I just think, and like maybe not defense. I'd probably go defense to Minnesota, even though Heiskanen will probably be the best defenseman, just like looking at depth and everything. But I don't think it'll be enough.
Revenge series for
one
Klingberg.
thing I'll.
Mm-hmm. Oh right.
Well, I was going to say, you got Klingberg playing his old team. You got Suter playing his old team. Should be some fun. Some fun revenge narratives. The one thing I wanted to point out, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, is Ottinger's from Minnesota. Like he grew up 20 miles down the road from the XL. Like they love him up here, and he seems to understandably have a chip on his shoulder when he plays the Wild. So, I won't be surprised if, we saw playoff Ottinger last year. I think we're going to see playoff Ottinger plus this year, going up against his literal hometown team. So,
yeah, that's interesting. I did not know he was from there. My pick is Dallas in 7.
Betsky, did you have any idea?
I'm on Dallas.
Holy crap, boys!
I see.
We did not plan this.
I appreciate that you thought I was going to go with Minnesota.
Yeah,
I really do. But
yeah, no, it's going to be too much. And Dallas looks great.
Yeah, I like Dallas a lot.
Yeah,
I think Dallas in 5.
Oh,
5?
Okay.
Yeah. I'll probably go 6.
I was going to say 6 or 7. I think if Eriksson Ek were playing, I would probably pick Minnesota because I'm a homer. But with him out, there's just
is he out for the whole playoff?
They said today that they are waiving. They usually have a rule that you have to practice at least once before you play, and they're going to waive that for him. So he skated for the first time yesterday. So they're saying that if they clear him, he'll play immediately. But that could be game 2, that could be game 3, that could be game 6. Like, there's no way to know. So, barring some like 2003 miracle where they come from behind in every series, I have to think Dallas is going to win this in probably 6. So,
yeah, I think goaltending will keep or maybe even win Minnesota a game or two. That their goalies have been pretty good. But yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to keep up offensively with the Stars.
I
No,
just
and I
can't
think
stop thinking about last year and how like Dallas would barely scraped into the playoffs, played the best team in the West, and took him to Game 7 overtime because of
Yep.
Ottinger.
Yeah.
And now
Yep.
you're seeing
Yeah.
a worse offensive team go against them
Yep.
when they're a better offensive team now. So
yeah, there's no reason to think it won't go that way. I have to think they haven't announced who they're going to play in goal because Evison is being cagey about it. But last year, Talbot was the hot hand, and they went with Fleury in the playoffs because they had traded for him, and he was terrible. This year, I have to think Evison learned his lesson. Like Gus has been the better goalie. Presumably, he will be the starter in game 1. But at the same time, Fleury has been playing better than he did last year. So, I do think, kind of like was mentioned, if anything keeps Minnesota in this series, it's goaltending. But I don't think it's going to be enough to get them over because, Spitting, like you mentioned, Dallas is a better offensive team this year than they were last year. So they're going to put up goals. And I don't think Minnesota has the depth unless Boldy becomes the second incarnation of Fiala that they all want him to be. Like unless he has an absolute stunner of a playoff series, I just don't think there's a way for Minnesota to move forward.
So you said they went with Fleury last year because they traded for him, right?
That was kind of how I read it. Yeah.
Didn't they just trade for Gustafson?
Well, see, that's fair, but future,
I'm just
future
kidding.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I just,
I'd probably go with the experience of Fleury as well.
yeah, no, I could see either way. This year I won't be upset about it. Last year it seemed a little ridiculous, but
Yeah.
I think Fleury has earned it this way in a way that he did not earn it last year. So
For
Yeah.
sure.
That's fair. That's fair. So that wraps up our matchup previews.
Wait. We should go through the whole thing.
I think we have to now.
Because we had the
Okay.
same ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see you.
And we don't
hold
need
on.
to break down each hypothetical match, but let's see who has what for round 2 and 3 in the final.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I gotta.
Okay, Betsky, you got it all locked and loaded. You start us off.
All right, so let me pull up round 2. It'll be what, Boston and my bracket just refreshed again.
So Boston and the Islanders.
Boston, the Islanders. Boston easy there. Not too concerned with that.
No, it would
And
be
then-
Boston.
Or no,
and
sorry.
Boston.
Yeah, no, sorry. I got it
Toronto.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry about that.
That's right. So I
Yeah.
still have Boston over Toronto, unfortunately. And then Islanders versus Rangers. I would have Rangers there. Then Rangers versus Boston. I have Boston into the Cup final. And then on the West, Vegas versus Edmonton. I have Edmonton moving. Colorado versus Dallas. I have Colorado moving. Colorado versus Edmonton. I have Edmonton going to the final versus Boston. And I think Boston wins it.
Ooh.
Nice. I like that.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Spin,
Dan?
you want to?
No, Dan first. We got to go guess first.
Yeah, I would say I think obviously Boston's going on. So Boston versus Toronto, I think Boston wins. You have the Rangers versus the Islanders. I think the Rangers win. I think Boston takes them out. I think I agree that they'll be the Eastern representative. Edmonton takes out Vegas, Dallas. I think if it gets to that, I kind of think Dallas would take it. Like I thought for a minute about saying that Seattle might be able to knock off Colorado, just given that they haven't been quite as explosive this season. So I think in a second round against Dallas, who is pretty good, I think Dallas could take it. So then if you have Dallas versus Edmonton, I still think Edmonton makes it. If you have Edmonton versus Boston in the Stanley Cup, I think I would probably, I want to try to provide some variety here, but it's just not there. I think Boston wins it. Like they have better goaltending, they have better D, they have better offense or comparable offense. I have to think that they would take it. So.
Jordo.
All right. Okay. So second round, what is it? I have Boston and Toronto. I think Boston is going to move on there. And then I think the Rangers, Boston, and then I'm going to say Boston comes out of the East. Sorry, that's so different from everybody else. Okay, and then what is it? I have Colorado and no, shoot. Is it Colorado, Dallas that I would have next?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got Colorado moving on, Edmonton moving on, Edmonton beating Vegas. Oh, this is the exact same as Dan's. Not connecting these dots. And I have Colorado coming out of the West.
Ooh, that's
Although
different.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's
Like it.
Edmonton at all, but yeah, I'm going Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado and Boston.
Colorado and
final?
Boston, and Boston winning it.
Oh my gosh, boys.
They're a record-setting team. How do I get away from them?
That's fair. Okay, so
You wait, they're gonna lose in the first round, and we're all gonna look like
That would
chumps.
be
So
brutal.
So I'm gonna go. We'll start off in the East. Boston versus Toronto. I want to go Boston, and then Islanders Rangers. Go Rangers.
Yeah.
Colorado Dallas. That's so tough.
That one's very tough.
That's
I
tough.
agree.
I'm just for the sake of it, I'll change it up and go Dallas. And then Vegas Edmonton. I go Edmonton. And then Dallas Edmonton. I'm going Edmonton to the finals. And then
All right.
Boston New York Rangers. I said it at the start. New York Rangers, baby. And then it's Edmonton Rangers final. And I don't care who wins because I'm going to put a future down on Edmonton too.
Okay, there you go.
I think Edmonton will win the cup.
Okay.
That's
And as
probably
right
a
now,
chalk pick, but
plus Edmonton at plus 800.
yeah.
It's not bad. I wouldn't mind sprinkling on that.
So-
'Cause I really could see that Boston, if it ends up being Boston Edmonton in the finals, that's going to be one hell of a
Great
series.
series.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm. It was hard for me to not take Toronto again. I
know.
I liked
Against
a little bit
Boston?
of an upset there. Yeah,
Oh,
I know it was tough. And the other tough one was Colorado Dallas. I kind of wanted to take Colorado,
yeah.
and then have like a
but
little
on-
rematch, and then McDavid, gets his revenge on him.
I'm partially putting Colorado Edmonton in conference finals just because I really want to see that series too.
Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
really
McDavid.
could see Dallas winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Especially if you get like prime Ottinger.
Yeah.
So going to what Shots just said about Edmonton being plus 800, something that I like to do, and you get a little bit better odds on, is just take the best player on the team you think is going to win the cup to win the Conn Smythe. I did that last year. So I had Tampa to win the cup at the start of it. And then they made it to the finals. I didn't have a Colorado future. And instead of taking them to win, because it wasn't great odds, I took Makar to win the Conn Smythe at plus 300. And so you were able to turn like a good profit there. And McDavid right now is sitting at plus 1,000 to win the Conn Smythe. And if he gets to the finals, there's no way he's not going to win unless Draisaitl has 50 goals in the playoffs. Like that's not going to happen.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Well, this time he loses both legs and he's just, on his knees
yeah,
swatting goals. Yeah.
exactly. But that's an extra like little boost if you wanted to get the extra plus 200.
Okay. So I had Boston winning, or I guess a bunch of us did. So your Boston Conn Smythe odds are looking like, according to DraftKings, Pasternak plus 700, Ullmark plus 900, and Bergeron or Marchand plus 2,500. If you wanted to go that
Take
route.
that. So I also just want to say, like, make sure you're looking at other books because I have Pasternak at plus 900.
There you go. Always shop around.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, McKinnon plus 1,600 if they make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh,
Well, that's a nice, if you feel really good about a look right now, that's the nice thing is you're still getting those jacked up odds because
Yeah.
they're just assuming, Edmonton's not going to make it. They're assuming Colorado's not going to make it. as soon as they get out of that first round, those numbers are going to drop like a stone. So
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Ottinger
For
plus 3,500.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was crazy. I just looked at that one too. Shesterkin plus 3,300. I guess
What
I'm
about
the
Jason
only.
Robertson?
You have Shesterkin at 3,300?
Yeah.
He's 2,200 on DraftKings.
Wow.
What a difference.
3,300 on
That's-
Bet 365.
Wow. Sorry,
Robertson's
Robertson
plus
3,000.
4,000.
Ooh,
4,000 for
4,000.
Robertson.
Yep. That's not bad.
Huh.
Audie's
Now,
also plus
just-
4,000.
despite everything that we just talked about and not looking to reopen any debates, does anybody have like a dark horse, like in your heart of hearts, you really think that, kind of like Columbus a couple of years ago could kind of like come out of nowhere and make a run, or are we kind of all thinking this is kind of a, paint by numbers playoffs for the most part?
Um,
I have one for each conference.
I think I do too.
I have one.
I would.
Okay. Go ahead,
You
Sid.
start, Jordo.
Yeah, my dark horse, and I know you're not going to want to hear it, is the Islanders.
Wow.
I think just because of the pick.
Yeah,
you
fair.
don't want.
I was like, I have him. I'm like, oh wait.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
The pick that you guys got, just because I think Sorokin has the ability to win series.
Mhm.
It's based solely on that. I don't expect it to happen, but it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, and if they're facing Rangers or imagine Jersey gets through and now they have to play against Islanders who could just kind of force them to play in more of like their way of game.
A boring game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
A boring hockey game.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a dream matchup for them.
Okay, so
yeah, what about you?
I'll go my West team, and then Betsky will go his East and West team, and then I'll go back.
Okay.
Dan might have some too.
Oh yeah, sorry, Dan. Do you have one? I didn't hear you.
I do think that Seattle could make a run. Like, I don't see them
Ooh.
winning the cup by any means, but I think we like to think that because Colorado won last year that they'll win again this year. They haven't looked quite the same. Like,
Mhm.
even with people coming back from injury, they are still a little bit banged up. I could see Seattle sneaking through, and then from there, just kind of seeing what happens. In the East, like, not really. Like, I want to believe that Toronto could maybe make a run. I think narratively that could be fun, and they certainly have the build for it with all the additions at the trade deadline. But it's like the East is just a meat grinder in comparison to the West. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, my West team
Yeah.
is the LA Kings.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I
there
don't
you go.
like if I think they go to the conference finals if they win against Edmonton. I just think that matchup's so good, and I don't really believe in Vegas. And definitely not the Wets. So that would like
Yeah, if
If-
they get past the first.
if
First
LA
round.
had
that's
finished
fair.
or like if Edmonton finished first in the Pacific and it was Vegas LA, I would be picking LA. So
Sure.
why if that is the matchup in the second round, why wouldn't I do the same, right? So I think they could make a run as long as they get by the juggernaut McDavid. And yeah, Dan touched on it, but for the East, sorry, I said you'd go first. Betsy, my bad.
All right. I'll be the only person taking Vegas for the West. I really think that team could be something special if it all clicks. I mean, if they face Edmonton and you have Eichel versus McDavid in the playoffs, maybe that's what really torches them and gets them going. Stone, it's a phenomenal playoff performer. If he comes back fully healthy and really helps that top nine click, they're a big team. They may give Edmonton a little bit of hell. And then I could see them at that point if they're up against Colorado or Dallas. I think they match up pretty well against both of them. In the East, I gotta go Toronto too.
Yeah,
There's
that's what I was gonna say.
something feels a little magical about this.
Mhm.
It feels like things are clicking at the right time.
Yeah.
Boston's a juggernaut, but I mean Toronto up and down that lineup, I feel like they may be able to handle them as long as they get the goaltending.
Yeah.
That's
And they've
the
had-
biggest worry to me to get past Boston. Not
Has
the
Ullmark
forward depth
played in
or
the playoffs?
defensive depth.
Before?
last year,
last
right?
year. Yeah, but I don't think he
Yeah.
was very good, was he?
No, I don't think so. Did they?
Yeah, they played
Boston was out
Carolina.
round 1, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I could see it Toronto too. I
know.
might change mine just to be different.
So
I couldn't
that
have picked the Rangers, could I? Because I have them going to the Cup final.
I think that's I would say that's a
That would
pretty good
that
dark
would be
horse,
my
yeah.
dark horse, but
Yeah.
I
I've
was
already
going to
talked
say
about
that
it,
you kind of already had it built in. Yeah.
Yeah.
that counts. That counts.
Okay. Well, then I'm changing it to the Rangers.
Okay, there you go. I think you have a much better chance of the Rangers than my Islanders.
Yeah.
I hope so.
All right. Anything else we wanted to cover before we wrap this up? And thank you again to Dan and Brad, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, good. Thank you again to Dan and Brad for joining us today. Really enjoyed having you. Great takes on these playoffs. I'm pumped. I hope everybody listening is pumped. Yeah, anything we want to cover before we shut it down?
I don't think so. I was just wondering, like, do you guys have any bets already placed, or are you going to place any bets?
I don't. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I may sprinkle Edmonton winning the whole thing if that's plus 800.
Seems really good.
Yeah,
I got it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I got it at plus 750. So if you can get 800, I like that.
Mm-hmm. And Dan, did you have anything bet wise?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, despite living in the state of hockey, we only have DFS here because they haven't legalized sports betting. So I'm largely left with kind of the prize picks and the underdogs and what have you. So right now, Prize Picks has up NHL series props. So shots on goal through the first 4 games, stuff like that.
Oh,
So I locked in a ticket, a ticket a couple of days ago with a couple of guys who have good histories versus their opponents. So not really looking at anything outside of like history versus the opponent this season and kind of their recent production, but like Heiskanen, Nylander, or McCann, Marchessault, Panarin, Barkov. It's things like will William Nylander have 12.5 shots on goal, more or less in the first 4 games of the series, and kind of just looking at that.
that's cool.
Some of those looked cool. Like throw $5 on it, like you win. I think now with the 6 picks, you win like $125. So it's low risk, high reward if it hits. But other than that, kind of just waiting for them to put out props and kind of dig into stuff once like props.cash and some of the other sites populate here tomorrow. So.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. And for me, probably not much on the futures, but I do plan on, especially in round 2, when I can zero in on the games more, a lot more props and sides and totals. Had some decent success in the playoffs last year. I know the props seemed to get a little bit tighter and the odds weren't quite as good. So I had to slum it with sides and totals, but it worked out okay. What about you, Spittin? How are you handling it?
Well, I have that because I like to do this every year just for fun. Like take one guy in the East, one guy in the West, and if they so happen to meet in the playoffs, then I guaranteed some winning. So I did take the Rangers, like I already said, and Edmonton. I'll probably do a deep dive into like series or like win the first game and the series because you can get good plus money on that rather than like taking Boston to win the series, which is like minus 300. Then you take them first game money line. That's not going to be very good either. So you can get plus money on that. Something like that. And maybe the Toronto minus 1.5, like the spread on the series. I like too. I don't know. I don't have anything else really. Like Conn Smythe, I might pick 2 guys for like a half unit just for fun, or quarter unit or whatever. But yeah.
Apparently there's also head-to-head bets where it's player versus player, whoever gets more points.
Dude, I looked through those and it just gave me anxiety. I'm like, like I think it was Marner and Kucherov that we already talked about. I'm like, well, Tampa could lose the series and Kuch could have more points.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know. Probably not.
It's interesting.
Betsky, what about you? Oh wait, did you already go?
Yeah, I think I'll probably sprinkle Edmonton for the cup. I'll take a look at some of the awards. I usually want to get out of the first round before I start sprinkling on Conn Smythe, though.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think if you have like a for sure, favorite that you like that is going to win the first round, then now would be the time to lock in that team.
Yeah.
Like the past, if you were going to go past to get plus 900, because if he's out of the next round in round 2, he's going to be like plus 400.
Yeah, exactly. Or I wonder what McDavid's at even.
So
yeah,
you'd have to consider the team that they're on and likelihood of them moving on.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, very cool. Let's wrap up. We'll go around the table and everybody just let people know where they can find your work throughout the playoffs. And we'll start with Dan.
Yeah, so friendly neighborhood props guy on Twitter, so at FN props guy. You should be putting everything there. I on a couple different Discords as well, so may drop a couple picks, but just looking forward to kind of providing, like you mentioned earlier, like kind of tip sheets, matchup sheets, kind of just keep people in the loop on kind of how things are looking as we head into these games. So
Yep, make sure you're following Dan. Get those cheat sheets. Data is king. Betsky, what about you? Where can the people find your work?
I'm on Twitter at Gretzky Betskis and also contributor for Parlay Science Discord. So all my plays are posted there, and I generally try to put out a couple free stuff throughout the week.
Very nice. And Spittin'.
Find me in the Better Way Discord with Jordo at Spittin' Picklets on Pickett and Twitter. And I just wanted to say I'm going to be putting out series winner parlays of what we just kind of talked about. Last year it hit plus 4,000. Absolutely crazy. And let's hope it hits again, because I think when I built it out, it was like plus 6,600 now. So,
ooh, all right. So keep an eye out for that. And my name is Shot Props. You can follow me on Twitter and Pickett, same name. And also find me in the Better Ways Discord. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We'll have more playoff shows coming soon. Good luck with your bets, and we will see you soon.
See you next Tuesday.